Hey, how you doing? Hope you all are doing great. As you've seen in the thumbnail, in this video, we're going to see what if Naruto and Overlord universe collapse. This is part 1, and before getting into video, I request you to check the author of this fanfic and show some love and support. Name of the story is Overlord Meets the Elemental Nations by Daniel Jung 718. Do check it out. All details in description. And if you want next part of this series, please leave a like, share, and consider subscribe. Let's get into the video. Also check out Patreon for uncensored spicy content. Link in description. Dive massively multiplayer online role-playing game, or DMORP for short, were games that allowed players to enter the virtual world and feel as though everything was real. In 2126, a game hit the market that would make DMORPs even more famous than they already were: Yggdrasil, a game that allowed players near limitless freedom in customization of players. People soon began to think of Yggdrasil as a synonym of DMORPed. With 9 worlds, a level cap of 100, over 2,000 different jobs, and over 7,000 spells, the game was a booming success. And now, 12 years had gone by, standing before Aura and Mare, Momonga tried once more to contact anybody with his message spell. His first try was to contact a GM, but with no success. There had been a strange feeling, as if reaching out to someone with his mind, a feeling not truly explainable, until the message spell ended. He had felt a great sense of disappointment with this and tried again, to no avail. His second try in contacting a GM had also been a failure. Then he had tried contacting all 41 members of his guild. No answer. Now filled with disappointment, Momonga tried something that seemed ridiculous. He sent a message to Seabass. Momonga-sama, the message, had connected, and Momonga could hear Seabass' deeply respectful words flowing from the message spell in his mind. This proved one thing: Momonga could contact people with his message spell, but only if they were in this world. Even NPCs. He was bewildered by what had happened and found it even more ridiculous that it had worked, but was brought out of his thought when he heard more. May I ask if something is wrong? Forgive me. I spaced out there. That's right. How are the surroundings like? Yes. It appears we are in a dense forest filled with animals of all sizes. I also noticed a small group of humans a few miles from the great tomb of Nazarick. How should I proceed? A forest, not a swamp? In Yggdrasil, which Momonga was not sure if this was anymore, the great underground tomb of Nazarick had been in a swamp filled with mist, poisonous, and inhabited by tuvugs, frog-like demi-humans. Yes, there's a forest around us. I see. Momonga-sama, may I ask what I should do with the nearby humans? Should I dispose of them immediately? There were a great many things that Momonga wanted to do, but all he could do at the moment was grab his head and try to think. He had called for a guardian meeting already, so he would have to attend that and see if the NPCs were still loyal to him. After that, maybe he could. Momonga-sama, I apologize for the interruption, but the group of humans seems to be headed in this direction. What are your orders? Ugh. This was just too much for him to handle. Not only did he not have enough information, but now there were people headed towards the great tomb of Nazarick. Stand by, Seabass. I shall join you at the entrance to the great underground tomb of Nazarick. Yes, Momonga-sama. And with that he dispelled the message, before once again focusing on the two in front of him. Oha, yes, Momonga-sama. Tell the guardians to wait here for my return. It seems I have something urgent to take care of outside. Of course, Momonga-sama. I shall prepare a legion of my finest troops to accompany you outside. Mare, go with Momonga-sama while I prepare the troops. Oh, of course. But, there's just one thing. See, I left my outdoors equipment in our room, so, I need to go fetch it and might not be back for a while. Mare. Aura grabbed her brother's arm tightly and stared dead into his eyes with a slight smile. To Momonga, it just looked like a cute girl smile, but to Mare, it was enough to fill him with dread. Mare, are you planning to disappoint Momonga-sama and reject escorting him? But, it's all right. I do not require additional escorts. Also, time is of the essence, so I shall be heading out now. And with that, Momonga activated the ring of Ain's old gown. Everything turned black one moment before he suddenly appeared on the first floor of the tomb of Nazarick. From there, Momonga navigated the tomb till he appeared at the entrance to the great underground tomb of Nazarick, successfully avoiding any hidden traps on the first floor. Outside, he noticed that Seabass was already waiting at the tomb's entrance, bowing respectfully as soon as he saw Momonga walk out. They were indeed inside a forest, not the swamp where the tomb originally was. This added to the list of things bothering Momonga. In the real world, all these strange changes would have Momonga crying from stress, but for some reason, he didn't feel stressed at all. Noticing Seabass still bowing, no doubt awaiting further instructions, Momonga halted that train of thought for the moment and put on his leader's front. Seabass, how's the situation? Yes. There are 5 people headed in our direction, fairly close to one another, probably a group. The first 2 seem to be adults, one with white hair and one eye covered, the other seemingly old and carrying a large bag. The other 3 are children. All 5 beings are humans. They're dressed in strange attire from green vests to orange clothes. From the way they walk, 1 adult and 2 children are soldiers of some form. They are approximately 2 miles from our location. Momonga looked at Seabass with a blank expression, seemingly one of a wise leader who was processing his thoughts. In reality, Momonga thought he would get a headache, a heart attack, and maybe even instant death all in one go. 5 people are headed this way, and 3 of them are soldiers. What in the world is going on? I don't have enough information yet. Maybe I should head back in. Seabass. Yes, Momonga-sama. Let me hear your thoughts on how we should proceed. Yes. Allow me to thank you for listening to my thoughts, which are nowhere near your infinite wisdom. Infinite wisdom? Where did that come from? But of course, Seabass. Yes. Well, I believe that we should send an emissary out to greet the foreigners. There's no telling what will happen, so I suggest Momonga-sama to stay within the great underground tomb of Nazarick while I go out to meet with them. I guess that would work, Momonga thought silently. But provided that Seabass were to fall in battle and the tomb attacked, then what? In the tomb? Yes. As expected of Momonga-sama, your thoughts far exceed mine. Unfortunately, I will admit that I am not nearly as good as Demiurge in planning for these things. My humblest apologies. With that, Seabass went back into his bow, respect radiating out of the man. Then, Seabass, I shall accompany you to meet these foreigners. Seabass looked up and seemed to want to say something, but stopped himself. Yes, Momonga-sama. Thank you once more for listening to your humblest servant. With that, the 2 were off to see these people. At least Seabass seems to be loyal, Momonga thought, as the 2 headed away from the tomb. Momonga then sent out a message, spell, this time to Mayor. Mayor, and Momonga-sama. I apologize for B before. I never meant to be rude. Please, punish me in any way you wish. If you requested, I'll even. Mayor, that is enough. You are forgiven. What I wanted was to tell you to conceal the tomb of Nazarick in whatever means necessary from the outside. Even though I forgave you, you will still be given a punishment. As a punishment, I want you to do the entire task yourself. But if you do have any problems, let me know. Oh, of course, Momonga-sama. Mayor will make sure to make you proud. With that, he cut off the message, hoping Mayor really could take care of everything alone, and hopefully by the time he got back. Oh, and just in case, Momonga thought as he reached out his hand disappearing in a thin air before reappearing with a mask. He was too troubled to worry about how his hand had accessed his inventory in such a way, but it had worked. Donning the mask, Momonga thought about how back when he had first started the game, there had been a lot of people out there trying to attack him simply because he was of a heteromorphic race. He would take as many precautions as possible, including donning a mask to hide his skeletal face. And with that, the 2 continued their brisk walk through the trees towards the 5 people. Momonga still in his divine class equipment while carrying a divine class staff, the staff of Ain's old gown stored in his inventory till the appropriate time. Team 7, composed of Kakashi, Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke, were on their first C-rank mission to escort Tazuna the bridge builder to Wave Country and protect him from bandits. Naruto was currently being his loud self, proclaiming to Tazuna that he would become Hokage and make him acknowledge him, while Kakashi was giving a brief breakdown of the geography of the elemental nations. It was a hot and sunny day, and the group of 5 were walking by a puddle on the road when all of a sudden, 2 people appeared from the puddle and attacked the group of 5. Within the time it took everyone to notice what was going on, Kakashi was already bound in chains. One down. The 2 newcomers then pulled a cord connecting their arms to each other which had been wrapped around Kakashi, tearing him to shreds. Or at least, That's what was supposed to happen. Kakashi managed to Kawarimi before the attack hit, replacing himself with a log and waiting for a chance to attack. Naruto and Sasuke put up a decent fight before Kakashi reappeared, taking down the two attackers. Kakashi then tied up the two that had attacked them. A few things happened after the battle, including Naruto stabbing his own hand to bleed out the poison before the group moved on. Nobody but Kakashi had the feeling that they were being watched the whole time. I had wanted to draw out the ones who were watching us, but it seems I can't get a read on where they are. What was that, Kakashi-sensei? Never mind, Naruto. Come on. I want us to reach Wave Country as soon as possible. Momonga and Seabass had watched the entire battle, along with some previous discussion that had taken place whilst under invisibility spells. Momonga knew the spell when in Yggdrasil and had found it surprisingly easy to call upon even without a menu. Seabass had been given an item called the Cloak of Invisibility that allowed the monk to remain hidden. Momonga was surprised by how the fight transpired. It was clear that the NPCs of this world had an occupation which involved protection, since 4 of the 5 people had protected one other person. Whilst the 5 could be players, Momonga ruled that out since these 5 did not carry items similar to any of the other occupations. If anything came remotely close, it would be the ninja occupation, which allowed use of kunai and throwing stars. But a spell that allowed one to switch with a log and the chain weapon that the 2 attackers had used were foreign to him. Of course, Momonga didn't know every spell in the game by heart, but he was pretty sure that he had never seen a spell like that before. Momonga-sama, should we continue to pursue the targets? Seabass, continue to monitor these 5 and take some others from Nazarick with you. Momonga-sama, I didn't mean to conceal myself for the whole time. I was planning to reveal myself. I promise. Momonga turned around to see Aura walk out from behind a tree about 50 feet away, flanked by Demiurge, Albedo, Cositus, and Shaltir. As expected of Momonga-sama, nothing gets past his all-seeing eyes. Too true, Demiurge. My beautiful Momonga-sama would never miss out on our presences, hidden or not. But in truth, it was probably Ms. Flat Chest over there who got us caught. What was that, Shaltir? You're just as flat as I am. Wait, no, that's not right. I at least have room to grow you, you bra stuffer. What did you say, Pipsqueak? I'll have you know I was designed this way, specifically by the supreme beings. Or are you calling their designs into question? Silence, Aura, Shaltir. We are in the presence of our dear overlord Momonga-sama. Did you forget the main reason we came here today, other than protecting our liege, of course? Sorry about that, Albedo. And our deepest apologies to Momonga-sama. Both Shaltir and Aura apologized. That is better. Now, on to the task at hand. We have Kulme to swear our fealty to the great and powerful supreme being, Momonga-sama. And with that, Aura, Demiurge, Shaltir, Cositus, and Albedo swore fealty to Momonga, right there in the middle of the woods. Momonga was also told by Aura that Mare had work to do, so he couldn't come himself at this time, but had promised to swear fealty the earliest moment possible. And with that, Seabass was sent off with Aura and a legion of Nazarick's finest with invisibility to tail the 5 humans, whom had shown some form of combat strength, while Momonga, after being convinced by the other Guardians to return, did just that with the remaining Guardians in tow. Hokage Tower. Hiruzen Sarutobi was getting far too old to rule as Hokage, but it didn't seem like anyone would be taking over for him soon, so he would continue to work, maybe even till the day he died. With that depressing thought in his mind, his eyes glanced over the piles of paperwork on his desk before he gave a long and tired sigh, then pulling out his pipe and giving it a small puff. I wonder how Naruto is doing. And with that, Hiruzen pulled out a glass sphere from within his robes, a spying sphere which would allow him to track the movements of any person in or out of the village. In reality, the Hokage could be seen as procrastinating from the work before him. But Hiruzen was not procrastinating. He was merely watching out for the people of the Leaf, making sure the will of fire was always kindling. The scene was basically what he had expected. Team Kakashi was guiding Tizuna, their escortee, to Wave Country, as his papers had told him. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. He was about to shut off his globe when he felt a disturbance in the area. Knowing not to ignore his gut feelings, which had helped him survive many a deadly scene. Hiruzen moved the looking glass around the area until he found what he was looking for. Around 50 feet from Team Kakashi was two figures, or at least that's what he assumed. The two were using some sort of invisibility jutsu to conceal their presence. The only thing giving away their positions were the small footprints in the grass where they probably were hiding. Even when one was invisible, their bodies still had mass and would affect their environment, a fact that many overlooked in the past. Hiruzen watched as two missing Nin attacked the group, probably Chunin rank, and the obvious conclusion from said battle. And yet, the two invisible watchers never left. Were they maybe after Naruto? He had received a report from Jiraiya not too long ago that an unknown organization was tailing the Jinchurikis. Could this be two of them? There was no such thing as being too safe, Hiruzen remembered, and turned off his spying sphere before calling out to the Umbu hidden in his room to organize a team to support Team Kakashi from the shadows. C-rank mission or not, this could still get quite troublesome. Team Kakashi had decided to continue on their mission, knowing full well the dangers that could arise from such a situation. And now, all five were on a boat headed towards Wave Country. Kakashi's nerves were on edge, feeling multiple presences constantly following the group. Ever since the first presence he had felt, more and more presences showed up on his radar. Till now, he could tell at least a dozen people were tailing them. Kakashi had no idea where they were, so he had continued to keep on a mask of indifference. But in reality, his nerves were frayed, which really helped him out in the end. Kakashi's heightened senses from being constantly on alert helped him locate Zabuza Momoichi's presence behind a bush as soon as they had entered Wave Country. Before Naruto could throw his kunai and allow the enemy to escape, Kakashi had replaced himself with a bunshin and gotten the jump on Zabuza. After that, it was a short battle, with the element of surprise on their side. Team Kakashi managed to finish off Zabuza moments before a Hunter Nin arrived to take the fallen body and Kubikurubocho. Kakashi had dealt the final blow, a Raikiri through the heart. There was no coming back from that. Yet even with the fall of said enemy, Kakashi was surprised to note the invisible presences surrounding the group did not engage. Whatever was going on, he was not at all happy with the circumstances surrounding the group. Aura and Seabass, along with the 24 stealth monsters, stayed invisible while watching the battle unfold. Aura, in all honesty, had been excited to see the battle coming up, as emphasized by her bouncing around and sparkling eyes. If Seabass had not been there to constantly remind Aura of her mission, to observe only, Aura was sure she would have joined in the battle. That was until she actually saw the battle play out. Come on, what was with that lame fight? To Aura, who was a level 100 floor guardian, the spectacular fight between ninja had been, well, not so spectacular. Aura was sure the two main fighters were probably around level 40, maybe not even, the only attack sticking out being the sparkly lightning that the one-eyed man had used, something called the Raikiri, or Thousand Birds. Seabass had watched the entire scene in passivity, not displaying any sense of attacking. It just wanted to show how little of a threat the group posed. If that was all there was to these people, Aura was sure she and Seabass could leave this to the minions and head on home. Momonga-sama was quite clear with his words. To keep an eye on this group, engage their levels and abilities for the good of Nazarick. We are to take whatever opportunities that may arise to benefit Nazarick without engaging directly. But no, Seabass insisted that their mission was to watch these five, so even though this was quite the unimpressive task, she would follow her role to the letter. It had been a few days since that first incident near the tomb of Nazarick. After the group had headed back to the tomb, which had been covered with dirt and illusions to conceal its presence from the outside world, Momonga had quickly raised Nazarick's alert level to maximum. Although the fight he had witnessed earlier was of no threat to Nazarick, there was no way to tell what would happen if more powerful people showed up or if they came en masse. With that, Albedo had gotten to work setting up the security perimeter and administrative settings. Demiurge was given the task of setting up security measures inside and outside of Nazarick. Shaltir and Cositus were told to continue on with their regular duties along with covering for Demiurge and Albedo. For Mayor, Momonga-sama. As Momonga approached from the distance, wearing black plate metal armor he had made from his spell, Create Greater Item, he was surprised to see that even Mayor could tell who he was even though he was completely covered up. Maybe there was some sort of trick the denizens of Nazarick were using, since they all seemed to be able to notice him even though he was concealed. With a pitter-patter of his feet, Mayor quickly approached Mamanga from where he had been standing on a wall of the tomb of Nazarick. At around 5 feet, Mayor genuflected before Mamanga, slightly shaking. "At ease, Mayor. I only came for a report." "Of course, Mamanga-sama." Mayor continued to stay in his prostrated position, keeping his head low. "Mayor, raise your head. I wish to see your face as we speak." "Eep." "Yes, of course, Mamanga-sama. Forgive this rude one." Mamanga gave a great internal sigh. Maybe he had been too hard on the young dark elf. He was just a kid after all, guardian or not. Aura had told him about how she had scorned Mare for disobeying Mamanga a few minutes after Mare had given her pledge of fealty, and Mamanga had felt guilty. These were the creations of his fellow guildmates who had worked tireless hours creating these magnificent NPCs. How would they feel if they knew Mamanga had hurt one of them so badly? Fishing through his item space, Mamanga pulled out a pitcher of endless water. There was no reason for an undead like Mamanga, who never needed to eat or drink, to carry around a pitcher of endless water. Still, Mamanga was a hoarder by all rights of the word, and thus he carried items like these, usually for some chance occurrence such as to give water to a mount or such. Next he pulled out a glass and filled it with water, seemingly ice cold if the condensation around the glass and pitcher was any indication. "This is for you, Mayor." "Oh no, it's okay, Mamanga-sama. I already have a ring of sustenance, so I don't get thirsty." "Oh, but if it's Mamanga-sama's, well then of course I will." Sigh. Did he really mess up this bad? The young elf boy seemed to be quite emotionally tense. Maybe forcing the child to work on this project alone had been too much. Speaking of which, no, Mutta, I want you to take the drink only by your own free will. I came to both apologize for the workload I've given you and thank you for all your hard work. Mamanga-sama, it is our duty to serve Nazarick. Serving Nazarick brings us pleasure in and of itself. Still, I want you to know you have done your work well. Also, you finished the work of concealing the tomb days ago. Why do you still loiter here? Well, you see, I wanted to make sure the tomb was perfectly concealed. I've been working on having the tomb blend in with the surroundings as well by adding hills in the area and making the trees here taller, so as to shadow the tomb. I see. But Mayor, if you change up the landscape too much, wouldn't the inhabitants notice? Mamanga knew he shouldn't have said that line when he saw Mayor's eyes tear up and knees start shaking. "No, wait, Mayor. You did your best for Nazarick. Go rest up. All right, take this cup of water with you. Make sure you calm your nerves. You may be needed further in the coming days." With his head bowed, Mayor stood up, took the cup of water, and quickly walked away from Mamanga back into the tomb. Sigh. Well, that could have gone better. I never even got the chance to give him a ring of Ain's old gown. Maybe another day then. Mayor seems to be done with his duties on the surface anyways. Umbu Lion and his team from Konoha were stunned by what they saw. Here was a little girl, no more than the age of a fresh academy graduate, using earth and wood-style jutsu. Even more astounding was that the girl didn't even need to use hand signs or anything, only raising that stick of hers to possibly concentrate her chakra. This was unheard of. The Hokage needed to know immediately. This could be an even greater threat than Orochimaru currently was. Before he knew it, two of his Umbu comrades who had also been hiding in the trees beside him fell to the ground dead. The Umbu, who had a cat mask on, quickly formed a hand sign and melted into the trees, then into the ground. He heard a thud from the tree he had just been on as it fell to the ground. Whoever these people were that he had just encountered, they would make a hard enemy. What do you mean they escaped? Demiurge was seething. His plan was supposed to have been perfect. If not for these useless subjects, he would have easily captured the spies and gotten Mamanga-sama's praise. Instead, the 3 Furies that he had sent to eliminate the enemy group came back with only 2 out of the 3 spies. He knew he shouldn't be quite so mad at his minions, but failure in Nazarick was not left unpunished. He knew he had to make his daily report to Albedo soon, and didn't want to send in only a report of his failure. So he quickly took the 2 bodies with him to his floor to experiment on them. Hopefully they would have a match with the people Aura and Seabass had already sent his way. If he found anything useful, maybe his punishment would be lessened. Today was not a good day for Hiruzen Sarutobi. He had recently lost contact with the Umbu he had sent after Team Kakashi. There were no survivors, not even a body he could recover. They had all just vanished. He downed another shot of sake. Drinking in his old age was certainly not good for his health, But for times like these, sake was the only thing that kept him sane. Then there was that report from Umbu Lion, Tenzo. Tenzo's group had been sent to investigate the new hill that had formed in the forest near Konoha. Instead of a simple intelligence report, he had found out the team was eliminated except for Tenzo himself. Tenzo couldn't see the faces of the attackers, but told Hiruzen that they hadn't felt the enemy's presences until it was too late. But Tenzo's team hadn't exactly failed its mission. This was a reconnaissance and intelligence gathering mission, and the report that came in was more than useful. Tenzo's Umbu team had been able to watch a young girl manipulate with chakra in a way that, when refined, could match the Shodame Hokage. The vast manipulation of wood and earth around the hill had shown the girl's chakra reserves were at least Kage level. A third shot went past the Sandame's throat. Yes, he was getting far too old for this. Looking over his paperwork once more, Hiruzen put away the sake and pulled out a quill. Maybe it was time he called back Jiraiya, and for the heck of it, he would send one to Tsunade as well, knowing full well she wouldn't even open it. Yawn. I'm so bored, can't we go outside for just a few minutes? I heard there are some savory humans on the surface. The Pleiades were currently seated around a table, enjoying their dinner meal. All around the table was food of all kinds, from cheesecakes to milkshakes, salads to hot dogs, and even the occasional bug-based dish. Still, to Lupus Regina and a few others, there was a distinctive lack of fresh meat. Lupus Regina-san, Albedo-sama said so herself. The tomb is under lockdown. No one comes in or out without direct approval from Amanga-sama himself. Yuri Alpha said highly, pushing up her glasses with a finger. As the leader of the Pleiades, she would not allow any of them to disobey her superior's orders. Yuri, stop being such a downer. I was only joking, right, Shizu-chan? I do not wish to take sides on this matter, came the monotonous reply from CZ2128 Delta, nicknamed Shizu by her fellow Pleiades. However, Yuri is correct. We are to remain within Nazarick and ward off possible invaders. Are you no fun, either Narbarel? Why would you bring me into this conversation? Indeed, I agree with Yuri. We are to protect Nazarick. Those lesser beings, worms, up above are none of my concern. But what's up with everyone's mood today? So serious. Well, at least I know Intoma is on my side. Right, Intoma? Do not touch me while I am eating. Ugh, everyone's a hater today. Next time I see Demiurge, I'm going to ask him to give me one of those humans he captured. Yes, I would also like to see Demiurge for such a matter solution joined in. I sure do love it when they scream loudly as they melt away inside me. But, duties come first, of course, she added quickly when Yuri looked in her direction. Momonga sat in front of a mirror of remote viewing, looking through the jungle that surrounded Nazarick, looking for signs of the village or city from where these humans kept coming from. In reality, the task was quite simple. Like a trail of ants, all the people took a single path, and if one was to follow the trail of ants, they would soon find the anthill. The only problem was the difficulty of moving the mirror itself. It was a while before Momonga started to get the hang of his mirror, and luckily, he soon had enough mastery over it to find the place of his choice. Ah, so that's where all the worms are crawling out of. Congratulations, Momonga-sama. It seems your work is astounding as always. Momonga couldn't tell if Chaltier was being sarcastic or not. It had taken hours for him to understand how to use the mirror. Maybe she was making fun of him? Knowing Peroncino-san, Chaltier's creator, he wouldn't be too surprised. However, seeing the smile on Chaltier's face made him believe otherwise and give a smile back, although his skull face would not show it. Ignoring Chaltier's comment, Momonga continued to view the mirror, moving it around the newly discovered village. It was teeming with people. Thousands, if not tens of thousands of people roamed the village. They were mostly civilian, carrying around with their business, unaware of being looked at. There were also non-civilians, like those spies that Demiurge had reportedly captured. On the rooftops and swarming the streets surrounding the village were people dressed in matching black and green clothes, some carrying swords, large shuriken, and the like. The place where these people were the densest was around the center of said village, where a large cylindrical structure stood, probably the village's military center. Zooming in closer to said building, Momonga could see through a window that the room was filled with scrolls. If those were scrolls containing magic spells, then this was most definitely a military base of sorts. Chaltier, yes, my dear Momonga-sama, bring Demiurge to my presence. I need to speak to him about a few things. There was a frown on Shaltier's face. Maybe she had been expecting something else. However, she recovered quite quickly, almost as if it had been but an illusion. Of course, Mamanga-sama. Afterwards, if you'd like, you could come join me in my room? With that, Shaltier left the room, leaving behind a confused Mamanga. Luckily, it would be a while before Demiurge made his way into Mamanga's study, more than enough time for Mamanga to get his act together. Mamanga hadn't seen Demiurge since that one night where he had gone out to talk to Mare and ended up confronting Demiurge as well. Hopefully, Demiurge wouldn't remember the embarrassing conversation he had with him. What with taking the jewels of the world for Nazarick and all. My lord Mamanga-sama, what is thy bidding, my master? If it wasn't for his skull face and his passive kicking in, Mamanga was sure he would have burst out laughing. Albert San, another fellow guildmate and Demiurge's creator, had been a fan of Star Wars and sometimes randomly quoted from there. He had doubted that one as refined as Demiurge would make such an out-of-place statement, but he had. But maybe to Demiurge it wasn't so weird? Ah, yes, Demiurge. Do you remember that conversation we had earlier? Mamanga had talked to Demiurge a few hours ago about the report he had sent in, the one about the captured spies. Demiurge had supposedly started some not-so-ethical practices. Mamanga had only accepted them so far because of the studies that Demiurge had found so far, including this chakra that was a form of magic that created spell-like phenomenon. There was no guarantee that the tomb of Nazarick would have a constant supply of magic in this new world, so researching this new ability would be helpful. As a guild leader and highly successful PvP player, Mamanga knew the benefits of intelligence gathering. But of course, I would never forget a conversation like that. Good. At least Demiurge knew his actions were ones he shouldn't let pass by him. Guess even a demon had a self-conscience. I found a village not too far from here, teeming with humans. At the center of said village is a military base filled with scrolls. You are to take a team together and retrieve them for me. Take any actions necessary. After that last sentence, Demiurge had on a large smile, nearly splitting to his ears. Of course, Mamanga-sama. I shall assemble a team from my floor and head out at once. It was a peaceful morning that Seabass had decided to take a stroll. Unlike some of the other NPCs in Nazarick, Seabass enjoyed a walk every now and then. He didn't consider the act a waste of time at all. Instead, the time used to organize his thoughts while on his strolls helped raise his efficiency. For now, Seabass was wondering what he should do about the current situation. He wasn't planning to take any unnecessary actions unless provoked, so as to not make a strong enemy for Nazarick. Thus, he had to continue observing both the Leaf Village Ninja, as they had called themselves, and their enemy, Gatu and his goons who controlled the Hidden Wave. It made him sick to see all these people oppressed under Gatu's tyranny. Had he been able to act the way he wanted, he would have stormed the place and taken down Gatu. He knew that's probably what Touch Me would do. But no, he had a duty to fulfill, and it was to tail the Leaf Ninja, not go around saving villages that may be of no use to Nazarick. Passing a woman on the street, holding her leg as if in pain, Seabass bent down and helped the woman up. Supposedly her name was Tsunami, and she had been headed home with her groceries when she had been pushed down by a thug and having her groceries stolen. Tsunami told him about Gatu and his reign of terror to Seabass when she found out he was not from her village and offered him a place to stay, which he kindly rejected before moving on. Another incident that proved that Gatu was not a man deserving to live. Yet Seabass was unable to do anything. A few minutes more found him in a forest on the other side of the village. Here he saw many beautiful flowers blooming amongst the trees. And amongst the flowers was a lone boy, clad in orange, sleeping peacefully. Seabass was no fool. This was one of the Leaf Ninja that had entered Wave to protect Tizuna the bridge builder. Seeing the boy stir, Seabass thought to hide but changed his mind. There was something about this boy that reminded him of his creator, Touch Me. There was a radiance about him, a light that would attract all the moths in the area, a light that would grow to command great respect and strength, yet be humble in its everlasting presence. With that in mind, Seabass stood his ground over the kid as he awoke. HN? Huh? Who are you? I am Seabass Tian, a simple butler. Sleeping out here in the woods can be dangerous, young one. You should head on home. Young one? Hey, are you calling me a kid, you old man? I'll have you know I'm a great ninja, and recently beat 2 missing ninjas all by myself. Seabass looked at the child and figured the kid was bluffing. He had no record of such information on this child, and previous observations showed the kid to be level 2 in Yggdrasil terms, if that. Really now? You must be one powerful ninja, Seabass said, making the child grin brightly, squinting his eyes from his broad smile. Huh? Yeah, I guess I'm pretty great, aren't I? He said, scratching behind his head. What is your name? Huh? Oh yeah. I never told you, huh? My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm gonna make everyone recognize me and be the Hokage one day. So make sure to remember my name. Seabass gave a small laugh at the child's enthusiasm. Even though there is little sunlight and rain, the flowers still blossom. So it is with the world. There will always be one like this child in the world, surviving the harshness of it and making it a brighter place. Well, it was nice meeting you, Uzumaki-kun, but I need to head back now. Before I go, let me ask one more question. That determination to be Hokage, is it for yourself or for the sake of others? Huh? Seabastian and the other guardians, needless to say, live their entire lives in service to the supreme beings who created them. There was no purpose in life without being able to protect them with their lives. To live to protect others, that's where true strength beyond mere stats and items could be found. When a person finds someone or something else important to them, someone they're willing to protect with their lives, that is when they become truly strong. The boy seemed to think on this before grinning to Seabass. Yeah, I understand that very well. Gato was currently sitting in an armchair listening to the report he was being given. Supposedly Zabuza, who was supposed to be a high-level ninja, had lost to those Konoha ninja. On the positive side, he no longer had to pay the damn brute. On the negative side, he had just used up his best hired hand. Sure, he could just throw a mass of mercenaries at the ninja, but seeing as how they defeated Zabuza, he felt it wasn't worth trying. He needed to hire someone strong and fast. Sir, there's someone coming this way to see you. What do you mean he's coming this way? I wasn't expecting visitors. Throw him out. Well, you see, sir, we tried, but he's been mowing through our bodyguards. He'll be here any moment. Before he could finish his sentence, the man suddenly fell to the floor dead. The only thing proving he had been attacked was the fist currently in the doorway where the guard had stood. Slowly, the man revealed himself. Gata felt like he was going to piss himself. Was it those Konoha shinobi that killed Zabuza? No way. Those light-hearted wimps would never try to start such a political ordeal. Then, was it that infamous route that he had heard of? The covert operations group in Konoha that he had hired out once? Were they covering their tracks? Gata's thoughts came to a halt when he saw the man finally show the rest of his body through the doorway before coming inside. An elderly gentleman with graying hairs wrapped up in one of those business suits. The only thing giving away the fact that he was the perpetrator was the blood covering his hands. Are you Gato? Gato was about to reply no when his instincts told him to say yes. He had never been one to ignore his instincts as they had gotten him through many difficult times. Yes, that is me. The elderly gentleman looked around the room before entering and taking a seat opposite Gato. He felt like he was looking at death himself, the harbinger of doom and destruction. If one was to say this was the Shinigami come to collect his soul for the underworld, he wouldn't even question it. Gato gulped. He wasn't ready to die. Not yet. Even the Shinigami made deals, right? I know this is not my place to say, but have you come to kill me? A nod. Then, well, I suppose I deserve it. But is there any way I can deter you from this course? Oh, actually, I need to hire someone to dispose of some ninja around. I know this isn't my place, but could you fulfill that request for me? I will pay you handsomely. The elderly gentleman simply stood up and walked out. Gata couldn't help but smile. He would always have the upper hand, for all bowed down to the power of money. Seabass was disgusted by what he had seen so far. After obtaining information on Gadu from the local fisherman, Seabass had decided to take out the disgusting man himself. His creator, Touch Me, had always said that one should protect the weak, that saving someone in trouble was common sense, and Seabass would live up to the Supreme Being's words by removing this pest. With Aura waiting outside with a host of invisible assassin mobs, Seabass stormed in from the front door, killing any guards that dared stand in his way. At first he was worried that, like Momonga-sama had said in passing, these mercenaries could very well be level 100 and quite tough to deal with. But the further he went while slaughtering his prey, the angrier he got. Throughout the infernal place were rooms meant only for death and humiliation. One room was filled with cages, cages that housed both skeletons and barely living humans. In another was a room filled with torture materials, a man still locked up on one of the standing tables. By the time Seabass reached the last room, he was filled with rage and killed the guard with a single punch to the face. Entering the room, he saw a lone man on a chair, giving off an aura of fear, sadness, yet a bit of confidence. "Are you Gato?" The man seemed to be about to reply, but held himself back, seemingly reassessing his answer. "Yes, that is me." Seabass looked around the room, ensuring there were no traps of any kind, before walking in and seating himself across from this man, Gato. Although he wanted to kill the man immediately, he decided he would give the man the benefit of the doubt, though he probably did not deserve it. "I know this is not my place to say, but have you come to kill me?" "Ah, straight to the point then." He gave the man a nod. "Then, well, I suppose I deserve it. But is there any way I can deter you from this course?" "Oh, actually, I need to hire someone to dispose of some ninja around. I know this isn't my place, but could you fulfill that request for me? I will pay you handsomely." Seabass was seething with rage. He had given this worm his benefit of the doubt. Retraining his emotions, Seabass simply stood up and walked out, unable to stand the sight of the man any longer. When he got to the hallway, he nodded to one of the stealth assassins hiding in the shadows. The assassin then ran past Seabass and into the room Seabass had just left. "1, 2." The assassin appeared in front of Seabass, seemingly coming out of nowhere. In truth, it was an assassination technique using a specific way of breathing and moving that would make one untraceable. But that was just a tangent in Seabass' thoughts. In the assassin's right hand was Gata's head, detached from its body, the paralyzed grin on the man's face, proving that the man was killed before he knew he had died. In his other hand was a key, no doubt a key to the man's secret treasury. Seabass continued his walk past the assassin and down the corridor, the assassin merging back into the shadows. His mission was to take whatever opportunities that may arise in order to help Nazarick. By plundering this man's hideout, he was acting in benefit of Nazarick. Nobody would miss Gato. Part 3. It had been a few days since Zabuza's attack on Team Kakashi. Strangely, everything had been quiet. Even Kakashi seemed more visibly relaxed, though the Genin's exercises in tree climbing never ended. Sakura got the hang of it quickly. Seeing as to how she had the smallest chakra reserves, it was easier to concentrate her chakra. Naruto and Sasuke, though, were having much more difficulty in chakra manipulation, but the two's rivalry fueled them forward, making the two reach just a bit further up their respective trees by the day. Finally, 2 weeks went by, and the bridge was almost done. Just a bit more construction to fix up loose ends and voila, the Great Wave Bridge would be complete. Or at least that's what was supposed to happen. It was a bright and early morning at the bridge, with the whole of Team Kakashi guarding Tizuna and his men. The tree climbing exercises had been going well, so Kakashi allowed the whole team to be together for the last day of construction. Tomorrow, they would be heading back to Konoha. And when Kakashi leaked that they would probably be paid an A-rank mission payment, Naruto and the others had freaked out for different reasons, of course, and wanted to make sure the bridge was finished successfully. When the fog first started to roll in, Kakashi knew he had made the right decision to bring in his entire team. The three, even without his prompting, had already gotten into formation around Tizuna, the bridge workers pulling out makeshift weapons. There had already been 3 attacks on the bridge already over the 2 weeks that they had fought Zabuza. Although the battles were easily won due to the enemy groups being composed of wannabe thugs, the Genin and bridge builders had gained some experience in fighting off the rabble. At the end of the bridge, 2 black silhouettes appeared, slowly approaching the group. From the end of the bridge leading into Wave walked out 2 men donning black robes with red clouds. Even from this distance, which was roughly 100 feet, Kakashi could still tell that the 2 were not like the thugs who had come their way before. These 2 were trained killers. Looking at the man on the left, Kakashi noticed the man's round eyes, blonde hair, and crossed out a Wagakure headband. If he remembered his bingo book information correctly, this was Deidara, a missing Nin with an A-rank bounty. Next to him was the man's supposed partner in crime, a short, hunched-over man with a bandana over his mouth. Kakashi had never seen or heard of this man before. He was certainly not in the bingo books, though the bandana could be hiding important features of the man's face, which made this man even more dangerous. When one didn't have any information on his enemy, They were to be immediately placed at the highest alert level, and Kakashi felt this man deserved such an assessment. Hey, look at this Sasori. It's Kakashi Hatake, yeah. I was hoping for a good fight. This will do me just fine, yeah. Shut your trap, Deidara, or I'll shut it for you. You've already given away enough information to the enemy. You take care of the brats. Kakashi is joining my collection. As if. I haven't had a good target since that mission attack you gave here, and you still took more than half my kills? Before Deidara could finish his thought, a metallic object flew out from behind the two, clashing against Deidara's kunai, which also seemed to appear from nowhere due to its speed. Upon further inspection, one would be able to tell that the metallic object was a tail sprouting from the now named Sasori's backside, or so it was supposed due to its position coming from under the black robes. This is my chance, Kakashi thought, seeing the two bickering amongst themselves. With that thought, Kakashi lunged out at the two, Sharingan already blaring and a kunai in his hand. First, he would cut out Deidara's throat before concentrating on Sasori. With one down, the tide should. Before he could finish his thought, the tail suddenly changed direction and sped toward Kakashi. Although he could see the tail's movements ahead of time, there was no way for him to dodge. Raising his kunai to meet the tip, he was shocked by the force of the impact and thrown back several feet. Hey you, can't you see we're in the middle of an important conversation? Now, as I was saying, you mess up the bodies too much with your damn explosives. I need the body at least somewhat intact to make my puppets. They're ignoring me? Thought Kakashi, staring in horror up at the two ninja before him. Kakashi was no cannon fodder. Having survived the Third Great Ninja War, leading a team of Umbu, and taking on hordes of S-rank missions since he was a child, Kakashi could say that he deserved his high bingo book ranking. Yet, what was all that worth in the face of these two enemies? If Deidara was alone, Kakashi was sure he could take out his target. But when there were two opponents, not enough information on the short one, and a group of genin and his employer to protect, even Kakashi of the Sharingan would have a hard time. Damn, I was thinking too long, Kakashi thought as the two turned around to face him and his group once more. It's been decided, yeah. Sasori takes your body, Kakashi Hatake. In return, I get to kill everyone else and blow up this stupid bridge, yeah. I'll make sure to create a spectacle people will talk about for centuries. No, millennia to come. Everyone, fall back. These are not enemies that we can beat. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, take Tazuna and the others to a secure location. I'll rendezvous with you as soon as possible. Not needing to be told twice, the others ran to the other side of the bridge without a word, even Naruto. Everyone could probably feel the intensity of the situation if even Naruto would stay quiet. Damn, Deidara, I told you something like that would happen. It would have been better to attack without stating our plans, though it's not like it'll make any difference. Kakashi is mine. You take care of the pests. Deidara threw what looked like a small clay bird out of his hand, before making a hand seal and turning it around 8 feet tall. Deidara then jumped onto it and flew off over Kakashi's head towards where the men and Kakashi's genin team had run off. Not wanting to waste time, Kakashi pulled out his trump card straight away, a Raikiri, and charged towards Sasori, bent on killing the unknown enemy, so as to save his comrades. He had told them he would not let his comrades die just 2 weeks ago. He was not planning to fail them now. Nearing Sasori, Kakashi made to ram his attack straight through Sasori's head when Sasori's tail got in his path. Instead of his ram attack, Kakashi pulled back a bit and raised his arm, cutting into the side of the tail and cutting it in half. Sasori's eyes went wide, bringing a small sense of satisfaction to Kakashi. His Raikiri could cut through lightning itself. What was a metallic weapon to him? And with that, he pushed his arm back down and cleaved off the perpetrator's head. Boom! Come out, wherever you are. You can't hide from me forever, you brats, yeah. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura hid with Tazuna in the trees on the other side of the bridge. Deidara had picked off the other men who had run with them, laughing the whole time and filling the three with fear. Aside from Zabuza and the two missing Nin at the beginning of the mission, the three had almost no real combat experience. The thugs had been a joke to the ninja, who had beaten them easily. Heck, even Sakura had been able to punch one hard enough to knock him out, though it had been a trick shot to the balls. The man flying above them, throwing down explosives, was on a whole new level for the fresh genin. There was no way they could hit the man above them. So, they would simply hide till he was further away, then run until he came closer, in which case they would have to hide again. They had lucked out so far. but the explosives would hit their mark sooner or later. Boom! A tree next to the Genin team fell to the ground, split in half by the power of the explosive. There was no running away from this. Konoha was a 3-day ninja run through trees away. They would never make it nearly that far. They needed a plan. Sasuke Naruto said, getting the attention of his teammate. I've got a plan. MMPH. MMPH. Cried out a bound Tazuna as he was carried out by Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto. Deidara heard the noise and looked down from his bird, seeing the three-leaf ninja practically offering him a present, wrapped up and everything. Ha ha ha, you losers finally decided to give up after seeing my art, yeah. I'm a kind person. In exchange for the old man, I'll give the three of you 5 minutes to flee. The three looked horrified, but reluctantly dropped the old man before jumping off into the trees, going in different directions. Of course, Deidara would never really give them the slip. He had placed an explosive cricket on the three when they weren't looking. Poor Genin, they never had a chance. Now for his prize. Deidara looked down at the struggling old man and couldn't contain his laughter, laughing at the poor man who was abandoned by those who had been tasked with protecting him. These leaf ninja, they were nothing but losers and scum. Picking up his prize and dropping it onto his bird, he flew off in search of his first target. Something's not right, thought Kakashi as he sliced through Sasori's head. That's when he saw a figure jump out from behind the man he just slew. Jumping back, Kakashi looked at the falling figure and couldn't help but be surprised. The man was, in actuality, just a puppet. He drew his attention to the body that had escaped from the puppet right as it was destroyed. This man was obviously a puppet. The lines running through the man's body was proof enough of that. Kakashi felt a thud ring through his body. Shit, I'm running low on chakra. I need to finish this fast. Kakashi Hatake of the Sharingan. It would seem your reputation suits you quite well. In so many years you were the first to see my true form. Unfortunately, I can no longer let you escape after seeing me in this form. And with that, the Sasori puppet pulled out a scroll before sending a burst of chakra into it. Release! Shit. Now there were 2 puppets to attack, and he doubted he would get to the puppet master without getting through the puppet. Unfortunately, with the massive chakra he had used in the first attack, along with his excessive use of the Sharingan, Kakashi would only be able to use Raikiri once more. Better to fall back and live another day to fight. He was about to retreat when black sand appeared from nowhere and surrounded him. Do you see now, Kakashi Hatake? There is no escape. Before you lies my favorite puppet, one with the power of a Kage, for he was one once himself before I made him mine. And soon you will be mine as well. Would this be his deathbed? His first Genin team, and they had shown so much improvement too. In the short time they were together, he had come to love them like his own children. Yet, they were all going to fall here. Had he only been a better teacher, maybe they could have gotten away. Only if he hadn't slacked off on their training. If only, it would seem that you are in need of help. Kakashi quickly looked behind him to the source of the sound. There, he saw a man walking out of the mist wearing a butler's suit. He had a head of graying hairs and stood straight, as if a rod was embedded into his back. Why would you help me? Because you should always help a person in need. This man, Kakashi could tell he had tiny chakra reserves, so he certainly wasn't a ninja. Maybe he was an elder of the village, who had come to protect his village. Unfortunately, Kakashi could not see this man lasting more than 2 seconds. Still, he was an old man, and Kakashi would not bar an elder from accepting their own death. Seeing this village, maybe he thought there was nothing left to live for. Although the man was still 50 feet away, Sasori attacked first, hoping to get rid of the nuisance who had probably come to steal Kakashi's body from him. The black iron sands condensed onto the man's spot, pulverizing his bones and squirting blood from the gaps. Or at least that was what was supposed to happen. When the iron sands approached the well-dressed man, he simply drew a fist back and punched the air, causing a shockwave that disoriented the iron sand, making the sands fall. Ha! That's a good trick, old man. Some sort of magnetic jutsu? No matter. I have more than just black sand at my disposal. And with that, Sasori opened up another scroll, filling the air with 100 puppets. Yet the old man calmly walked forwards. The hundreds of puppets swarmed down at him, swords, kunai, maces, and all sorts of other weaponry poised in their hands. As they approached to tear apart the man, the old man started to punch each and every one of them, tearing them to shreds upon impact and throwing them every which way. The last dozen puppets became better and tried using tricks and teamwork, but the old man simply punched and kicked them all aside, walking forward at a constant rate. TSK, you're much better than I thought. I'll give you that. But these jets of water can cut through steel. You'll be torn apart. With that, Sasori began to shoot water at the old man in jets, raising them ground up to show their effect on the bridge through the exploding concrete and steel. Yet the old man continued forward, blocking the water's current when it reached him with but a single finger. Amazing, Kakashi thought. He would have to be a true master at water manipulation to split water coming at him at that pressure. And those insane reflexes and strength. What is he? The man is easily Jonin status even with such low chakra reserves. Or has he been hiding his true reserves the whole time? That would make him at least Kage level. Where did this man come from? The hell are you? Some sort of water manipulator? You're probably hiding your chakra levels. There is no way someone can overpower my twin water cannons without being at least a Kage. Fine then, eat some flames. The old man was about 15 feet from Sasori when flames erupted from Sasori towards the old man. At his distance, which was now 30 feet, due to some crawling away during the intensive battle, Kakashi could feel the heat and knew the old man must be done for. After a good 10 seconds, Sasori turned off his flames. The area around his attack field was blazing, with melted steel and concrete crumbling and melting into the sea before him. Sasori seemed dazed to Kakashi, as if he had met a truly strong opponent. Then, Sasori gave a grin, happy to know he had won against such a strong opponent. Kakashi didn't know it, but Sasori had been using his trump cards at the old man. In Sasori's point of view, his attacks had been enough to wipe out an entire village before, yet this one man had overpowered them all. That made him, what, stronger than a whole village? But still, he was no more. This is your end. Sasori looked down to see a hand in his chest, skewering his heart. He turned around to see the old man standing there, an arm coming from the old man going into his back. Sasori had not seen a man get behind him. He was truly a Kage-level warrior. It seems so. Please, enlighten me with your name before I die. Of course, the name is Sebastian. You fought hard, but you just weren't strong enough. With that, Seabass pulled out his arm, letting the puppet drop to the floor dead. Kakashi promptly fainted. Now, where did those kids run off to? Yeah. It had been exactly 5 minutes since the agreement, and Deidara was all fired up. It seems Sasori was having trouble with Hatake Kakashi of the Sharingan, seeing as to how he had used so many different trump cards. The black sand, swarms of puppets. How he even got to see Sasori's true form explode and melt the bridge, which it was agreed to be his role. He would be talking to Sasori about this afterwards. After the fires started spewing, Deidara had left in search of the three, his 5-minute promise over. He wanted to see the end of Sasori's fight, but his need for battle, if he would even be able to call it that, beckoned. Flying over the dense forest, it was hard to find the 3 kids he had given a head start. Sure, he would kill them eventually, and the hunt was interesting in and of itself, but he still had wanted to fight a good battle. Looking over his shoulder, he saw the old man that he had been contracted to kill still squirming in his bindings. Deidara gave a short laugh. Even if the old man escaped, where would he go? They were easily 200 feet off the ground. The old man would die from the fall. Out of the frying pan, into the fire was it? Searching through the trees, he found his first target, a little orange blip zooming through the trees. That fool. What ninja wore orange? It was like painting a target sign on oneself and just asking to be killed. Deidara pulled out a wad of clay from his pouch and put it into one of the mouths in his hand. It then spit out 2 more bird-like sculptures, which he promptly threw at the brat. With a single hand sign, the explosives became huge and flew down towards the unsuspecting boy, killing him in a wonderful explosion. Just then, his instincts flared, causing him to jump to his right, a kunai embedding itself into his left shoulder instead of his heart. Turning around with a kunai in his right hand, his left arm now useless, Deidara was surprised to see the black-haired kid from earlier where the old man should have been. Damn, Naruto, you didn't have to tighten those ropes so hard, you idiot. Deidara gave a small grin. So, these brats actually had some game to them? He had wanted to have some fun, and hide-and-seek certainly wasn't the definition of fun. Killing this brat slowly in combat, then blowing him up, now that would be fun? No, that would be art. The brat lunged for him once more, another kunai already in his right hand, but Deidara didn't move. He didn't have to. When the brat stabbed him in the chest, the Deidara that was stabbed turned pale, white everywhere. It had been a clone, with one of its hands holding onto the brat's wrist. There was no escape. Art is an explosion. Boom! Naruto and Sakura continued their run through the forest with Tizuna right behind them. Sasuke had volunteered to be the bait, even though Naruto had offered himself first. So they had wrapped up their teammate and left him to Deidara. Looking back, they saw the white birds circling the skies once more, probably looking for them. When Deidara started to go in a different path from where they were, Naruto flashed Sakura. Naruto had sent out a bunch of his shadow clones as distractions. The plan was that Deidara would look down on them and not even assume that there were clones, and accept what he saw. Even when they were offering up Sasuke, the three that they had used were Naruto's shadow clones in disguise. The three continued running away when all of a sudden they heard a loud boom. Turning around, they saw the bird in the sky explode. All three of them stopped, looking at the scene of the explosion. From where they stood, they saw a lone form fall from the sky as a new bird took a man away from the scene. Sasuke! Sakura cried out, abandoning their resolve to escape. The three ran to the spot that the body had fallen into the trees, hoping that Sasuke had survived the fall. Entering the clearing, they saw that Sasuke was alive, but only barely. With second and third degree burns all over his body, Sasuke was a mess. Sakura immediately started to perform whatever medical treatment she could remember from the academy on Sasuke, so busy in her task that she even forgot to yell at Naruto for his plan. Tizuna helped out Sakura with healing Sasuke, gathering medicinal herbs and whatnot from the clearing to help out the fallen teammate. Naruto, unsure of how to help his teammate, pulled out a kunai and decided to protect those that were precious to him. Naruto remembered the old man's words, that he would become truly strong when he had someone to protect. Seeing his friend hurt like that, he couldn't help but feel angry at himself for letting Sasuke be the bait, and at Deidara, the bastard who had hurt his friend so badly. Haha, so you came scurrying after your friend, then ya? I'll do you all a favor and kill you all together, ya? The blonde man who had dared to hurt his teammate, no, his friend, walked out of the trees and into the clearing, unarmed and obviously looking down at him. Naruto remembered how his clone had been destroyed when he was hit with flying bird-like explosives. Thus, Naruto would have to watch out for those. I'm just gonna end things here, yeah? Explode. Naruto felt memories from 3 different shadow clones enter his mind. The pain from being exploded by a small explosive on their backs. Huh? You're not dead? I could have sworn I placed explosives on you all, yeah. And no matter, I'll still take you down, yeah. Naruto could feel his hate rising. This man, he had promised him a 5-minute run, but even that had been a lie. He was planning to kill him and his team the whole time. As he thought this, he became more and more angry at the man in front of him. Yes, embrace your anger. This once, I will give you the power to take down this man. Kill him. At this, Naruto felt his anger boil up, literally, as a red cloak of chakra covered his entire form. Then his look started to change. His whiskers became more defined. His nose jutted out a bit. He grew fangs and claws, and his eyes became red and slitted, resembling an animal more than a human. Unable to restrain himself any longer, Naruto lunged out at the blonde before him, intent on tearing him apart. Ah! Yelled out Naruto. Although he was surprised, Deidara had his fair share of battles in the past and reacted immediately. Nobody had told him that his target's protector was a damn Jinchuriki. But it wouldn't matter. The trick to defeating a Jinchuriki was to simply overpower it. And Deidara was confident that he could do so. Eat this, you damn Jinchuriki brat. And with that, Deidara began to pull out an assortment of explosives, all aimed at the blonde. It took a while, but Naruto lay on the ground, beaten and bloodied. Had it been some regular ninja, the Jinchuriki brat might have won. But against a top-ranking Akatsuki member like Deidara himself, he had no chance. Sure, Deidara took a beating himself, as evidenced by his destroyed arm and broken legs, but he had still won. It was too early to capture the Jinchuriki, but he was sure the leader would want him if he had already been beaten. With that in mind, Deidara sat atop a giant clay spider which began to slowly make its way towards Sasuke, Sakura, and Tizuna, 2 of whom were still trying to revive the black-haired brat. With their hard efforts, the boy would live if given rest. But alas, that was not what Deidara would allow. He was going to kill them all for the sake of his art. Suddenly feeling a malicious feeling behind him, Deidara turned around and was surprised to see the blonde kid standing back up. Where there was only one tail beforehand, now he could see three tails. The kid was also beginning to heal rapidly, the broken bones and gaping wounds healing up as if they had never been there. There was no way he could continue for a round 2 with his tattered condition. If he didn't have broken legs, he was sure he could beat the damn thing, but as it was, he would have to retreat, creating a giant white bird. Deidara quickly switched onto the beast and took flight before the mass of malicious chakra could gain its senses. And with that, he was off. Later, when he reported his find to pain along with the loss of Sasori and failure from his mission, he would be punished severely. When Naruto saw the blonde man escaping, he immediately chased him through the forest. If he could fly, he would have destroyed the man where he was. Unfortunately, even at 3 tails, Naruto could not fly and instead had to focus on the white blip in the sky. With his enhanced vision, Naruto could easily make out the man on top of his creation. A few minutes into his chase, Naruto started coming to his senses. He wanted to hunt Deidara, make him suffer for hurting his comrades. But should he leave them as they were to track down this one man? He was supposed to protect his comrades, was he not? With that thought in mind, Naruto turned around and ran back to his friends, who were undoubtedly in trouble. He could smell the fear from here. Sakura sighed a breath of relief. Sasuke would never be the same again, but with the treatment he had just gotten, he would live. Her Sasuke would live. Sakura nearly broke down at the thought of her beloved Sasuke almost dying right before her eyes. She couldn't let this happen again. She had been a burden for her team throughout this entire mission. If she had been stronger, things might have been different. That's when Sakura made her goal. Pulling out a kunai, she cut her long hair off, pledging a vow that from this day forth, she would become stronger so that she may fight alongside her teammates, that she could become a great ninja. Looking down at Sasuke's hurt form, she added another line. She would become the world's greatest medical ninja, so that nobody she loved would ever have to suffer. Ooh, I really like the look in your eyes, Pinky. Sakura and Tazuna both turned fearfully to the sound of the voice to see a young tanned boy wearing red scales walk out of the forest. His strangest features were his heterochromatic eyes and his pointy ears. You want to become stronger? Huh, I can appreciate that. Here, let me do you a favor and heal that lad next to you. Afraid that the newcomer might hurt Sasuke, Sakura wanted to stand her ground, but with Sasuke injured as he was, she would take whatever help she could. She wasn't the greatest medical ninja just yet. Greater healing too. A green glow escaped the boy's hands, overlaying Sasuke's body. It looked a little different from the medical jutsu the ninja hospital used, but Sasuke was healing up quite well. The burn marks on his body slowly faded away, leaving smooth and white skin. The cuts throughout his body also closed up. Sakura was sure the broken bones, although she couldn't see them, were probably also being fixed. She stared in wonder and fear the entire time until Sasuke looked perfectly fine again. If not for the burnt and torn clothing, nobody would be able to tell that Sasuke had been on the verge of death just a few minutes ago. Alright, and that's that. Of course, this wasn't for free. When you're ready to become stronger, find me at the hill around 3 miles from your village. But don't tell this to anyone. And you too, old man, you have to keep a vow of silence. Sakura just nodded her head at the strange little man. She would become stronger. The next chance she got, she would find the boy again, and she wouldn't tell anyone who he was. And with that, both Sakura and Tazuna fainted from overexertion. He was dying. Sasuke Uchiha was dying. He was supposed to be the Avenger, the one who brought back his clan. As Sasuke looked into the white void around him, he wondered what had led to his death. He recalled the explosion and all. That's not what he meant. What he meant was, why had he volunteered to be the bait? With all the danger present, Sasuke should have sent Naruto or Sakura to be the bait so that he could escape. They were just a means to an end, right? No. In that vast white void, Sasuke realized that his teammates had somehow become his close friends, people he would be willing to protect, people he might even be willing to put before himself. One could not lie to themselves when they were on the verge of death. Within that white void, Sasuke looked at the truth. He wanted to avenge his clan by taking out Itachi, but he also wanted his friends beside him. Suddenly, he He felt a cool mist float over his body, beckoning him forth from his subconscious. It was comfortable here, but Sasuke would have to leave if he wanted to protect his friends and avenge his clan. Waking up, Sasuke was still groggy from his rise. There should have been pain racking his body. He remembered the pain from that explosion, but it was nowhere to be found. When his eyes focused, Sasuke saw Sakura lying over his body. Sakura looked just as exhausted as he had felt when he fell through the sky. Tsuno was there as well, leaning up against a tree, sleeping. If they weren't dead, that means that they had won. They had somehow escaped from Deidara. And if they had been lucky somehow, then Deidara may even be dead. Continuing his search throughout the clearing with his eyes, Sasuke realized that Naruto was not there. No, could it be? Had Naruto given his life so that they could escape? That blonde-haired idiot who had just become someone close to him, who had seemed like an idiot, spouting about how he was going to be Hokage, that nothing could stop him until everyone in the village recognized him. Was he really gone? He had just started to become powerful too. His improvement in chakra control, his ability to take control of the situation and think up a plan for them to all escape, even going ahead and retreating without complaint when their sensei told them to. It had shown that Naruto had much potential for growth. Yet, in the end, he had died. The anger, fear, sadness, and a mess of other emotions filled Sasuke's body. He had been too weak. He had lost, and it had led to the death of another that had been close to him. If it wasn't for Sakura on top of him, Sasuke was sure he would have attacked something out of sheer anger. His vision was red, and he was sure he was going to destroy something. But no, his teammate needed rest. And with that thought in mind, Sasuke lay where he was, his vision turning back to normal before he also accepted blissful sleep. When the strong emotions died out, Naruto was left confused, but continued toward his destination just the same. Strong emotions didn't just disappear unless Naruto quickened his pace. If his friends had died because he wasn't present to save them, then he really was a failure in life. If he couldn't protect his friends, how could he protect the village? How could someone be Hokage if they couldn't save those closest to them? Entering the clearing a few moments later, Naruto saw that Sasuke, Sakura, and Tsuno all out. At first, he thought they might be dead and gave a loud howl in his three-tails form, but just as his vision was about to cloud over with hate, he saw the bodies stir. They weren't dead. They had been asleep. Naruto felt a rush of relief and peace, seeing that everyone was okay. His chakra cloak fading away, Naruto sat down next to Sasuke and Sakura's sleeping forms, gazing up into the trees, and probably fell asleep. The damages on the bridge were harsh. It took nearly 2 more weeks to remove the destroyed portions of the bridge and replace it with new material. The reason it worked so well was because the whole village had come to help out. When the people had heard of Gada's fall and how thugs were gathering at the bridge from an elderly man named Sebastian, a kindly gentleman who helped those in need for the last 2 weeks, they had quickly assembled arms and gone to the bridge. It was just in time, too, as they saw within the burning bridge the figures of 3 thugs rummaging through the destroyed mess. Working together, they managed to chase away the thugs and help out the leaf ninja who had fainted, who Inari had pointed out was Kakashi. Although they were worried about what happened to everyone else, they had stayed on in wave when they heard the explosions going off on the mainland. Whoever had been Kakashi's opponent was nowhere to be seen. When the explosions had stopped for a while, a search party was sent out who brought back Tsuno, Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto. All 4 were sent to a makeshift hospital to be healed, while the dead bridge builders were gathered and buried. When the 5 survivors came to within a day's time, they were worried that they were too hurt to do anything but, aside from Kakashi's chakra exhaustion, everyone seemed to have healed up miraculously fast. So it was that Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura guarded the villagers as the bridge was repaired, while Kakashi tried his best to remember what had happened during his fight with Sasori. His memories nothing but a blur. The only thing he remembered was the name Sebastian and the overwhelming sense of strength that came with it. And that is what happened, Momonga-sama. Momonga had sat at his throne as Sebas and Aura gave their descriptions of their mission. He had watched most of what had happened from his mirror of remote viewing and was glad that these 2 had not lied about anything, though they did miss some of the fine details. I understand. Though I feel you are withholding some information from me, I shall let it slide. Your days were long and arduous. Go get rested before resuming your duties. Yes, Momonga-sama, please excuse this rude one. As his NPCs left, Momonga looked at the banners around him, representing the members of his guild. Then he saw the banner behind him, the one of Ain's old gown. That's when he made his decision. If his friends were still out there in this world, they would find their way back to the great underground tomb of Nazarick if they heard the stories of Ain's old gown. Thus, to spread those stories, he would need to take on the name of Ain's old gown himself. And for gathering information, it was probably best if he infiltrated an enemy base himself. Maybe enter this Konoha as a mercenary or something. Better yet, Demiurge had reported in his findings something about a Chunin exams where different villages attended. If he could infiltrate the Chunin exams and extract information, he may have the necessary information for the next step of his plan. Demiurge's plan. Somehow Demiurge had come to the conclusion that Nazarick was supposed to take over this world, and believed that that was Momonga's decision in the first place. So he had played along for now, seeing now that Demiurge's his plan might help spread Ain's old gown's name. He began to prepare for his infiltration mission. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you all are enjoyed this video. If you do, please leave a like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to support author of this fanfic. So let's end this video here. Until then, see you in next video.